setting up now. We are now live.
We live?
We are live. We are definitely live on YouTube. So
I ain't gonna cuss.
yeah, you can say whatever you want to on YouTube. Just don't.
That's a
show
Ray
no
J joke,
precedent like that.
It's a Ray J joke. It's a Ray J joke.
Love who you love, be who you want to be. Ray J, man.
Hey, didn't Delvin just get referred to as Ray J on What Up, Doe?
Yes, that very much happened.
Someone came out live on Delvin's grandma. He had to put that guy in check. Don't do that. Don't do that.
Yeah, there's some things you don't do, and that's one of them.
Right. So let's tell people why we're here today.
Well, let me introduce it. Stop doing this like it's Fire Brigade.
I mean, that's a different story. Go ahead. My bad. You see, I'm already taking over. I'm sorry.
No one knows who anybody is on here.
I'm trying to colonize this podcast right now.
Greetings and salutations, everybody. My name is Delvin Cox, host of the Delvin Cox Experience. And on this podcast today, I have an all-star cast. I'll let you guys speak for yourself. You go first, Chaufie.
All right. So you know me. I'm Chaufie from Games We Don't Play. I do the Fire Brigade with Delvin and Derek and Joey. And, you know, we kind of share our perspectives on just whatever random topics are on our head. But in Games We Don't Play, it's more gaming-centric. So that's me. Let me kick it over to my boy T.
What's good, people? I am the internet's Tayrel 713. I am the host of the Stays Crunchy and Milk podcast. And we just out here trying to hold it down and try to get through, not just get through, man. Try to make some real significant change out here, man. Tired of getting through. Now it's just time to do something about it.
Yes, for sure. And then let's roll over to you, BTG.
I think they should know me by now. I mean, you know, award-winning podcast of the year.
Here we go.
I don't do much, but when I do things, please let me speak. Claiming my time. BTG for president, Open Run with BTG, a part of the Rare Science Network. I'm the podcast president, and I'm here to talk with people today on live. I'm not going to cuss.
I'm going to cuss.
See how long that lasts.
I'm a cuss.
Yeah, I mean that's just a fact. But so I mean, not to do Delvin's job for him, but you know me, I do like talking. I mean, I want to talk about what's going on in the world and like and it truly is in the world right now. Like it is a global thing. Let's start back to what ignited this flame that has been burning for forever. This is not a brand new thing. Let's acknowledge that first, and then what experiences are like right now, and what have they been like for you, in racial profiling, racial injustice, Black Lives Matter's experience, things like that. Like, let's jump in. Let's have a roundtable. Let's have a conversation here.
Well, before we get to that, let me ask everybody a simple question.
Yeah.
Because this all started from one event. I want to ask everybody, where were they at when they saw the George Floyd video?
I don't know. I probably was at work. When I first seen the I probably seen it on Twitter first. Because you know Twitter gets all the goodies before everybody else. And I'm not gonna even lie to you. I chalked it up as something that we've seen before, and then I didn't even give it that much time because it happened so much in our community that at this point, is to say that we're used to it. I think this time, a lot of people are scared to find exactly what there was no question about. We do get.
Hold on, Bella. Repeat that again, because you just completely broke up.
Yeah.
Sure, he's saying some really good stuff, but you figure from a podcast pro.
This
What's not pro? It's just internet right now.
We're losing you, man. You're getting like all choppy.
It's all robot.
Yeah.
I'm
That's not helping it.
Okay, let's jump over to T, and then we'll come back.
now.
I live here in the Midwest in Cleveland, Ohio, where a few years back, Tamir Rice was shot dead in mere seconds by a police officer who didn't go to jail for it. And so seeing George Floyd laying on the ground, pretty much begging for his life, while a cop just, stood there, kneeled on his neck. I definitely came across it. It was on Twitter. I was here at the house because it's still a pandemic and I work from home at this point. So I was at work, but I was here. And I like Baylor said, I did not expect it to be that. I didn't expect his death to lead to what seems to be some honest conversation, honest change occurring around the world. And I'm sorry that it has taken his death and Breonna Taylor's death and Ahmaud Arbery's death to kind of be a springboard toward doing right by this world. But here we are, and I'm hoping for the better. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, and it similar for me too. Like BTG said, you see it on Twitter. Twitter's the fastest place for news. Like even when it's just a regular common story I share with my wife, she's like, "How'd you find out?" I was like, "It's on my fucking Twitter feed. Like it just happened." And but it's like boom. But something that BTG was saying was, I felt the exact same thing. Like I'm seeing it on my screen. I'm seeing it take place, and I felt upset, but upset with myself because I felt like, here we go again. Here's another common thing. Here's another video. And here's another video that is not making me feel like, I'm sorry, I'm missing his name, but the guy in New York with the cigarettes who got choked out.
Eric Garner.
When I saw that video, like that shook me, like that rattled me hard. It's like, fuck, I saw someone die on screen. And not a he got shot type of death, but like, fuck, like his life, like his light got extinguished in my eyes. And then when I saw George Floyd, I was like, and I don't want to sound like I was dismissive of it. It wasn't that at all. It didn't have that same deep, it didn't cut as deep, but it didn't cut as deep because it was like, and here's another scenario where fucking cops are going to get off, and it's just going to be on the internet, and then tomorrow we're going to be arguing about is this fucking sweater green or blue, like, and it's just going to be another situation. And I was really shocked on how this took steam, and I think that it's because we had back to back man, fuck you. We had back to back scenarios. It was like it was too quick, so it didn't let the internet digest. Plus, from quarantine, we're already living in a pressure cooker. Yeah. We're tired of being at home. We're upset about that. And then we're dealing with this bullshit administration that is just like, something was going to kick it off. Something was going to do it. But it's just that I remember just sitting at the table. I think I was like having lunch or something. And I was just like, oh, fuck. And I remember no one being home. Like my wife and kids had gone for lunch. I had just finished a staff meeting. And I was like, I remember not wanting to do anything the rest of the day. I was just like, fuck this. Like, this sucks,
You go ahead, PTG. I'm getting the link out to everybody.
I think we're still frozen.
You hear me now?
I heard you for a second.
Yeah, for like a second. I'm trying to figure out why he's like behind a bus driver's steering wheel, though. You on the MTA? What's up, man?
Yeah.
Oh, hey, my tornado siren is going off. So
What the heck?
if I have
That's
to
not a
go,
good thing.
if I have to go, you know what it is.
Wait, don't you just lay down in the tub or something?
That's what they do.
I don't know. I just saw it in the movies.
That works. That don't sound like something that would work.
Now, what about you, Delvin? When did you see it, and what was your experience with it?
If I'm correct, I was at work and I looking on Twitter and stuff like that, and I specifically remember the video coming up because it's one of those things that kind of came up like wildfire that people kind of passed along and stuff like that. And I remember seeing it and getting sick to my stomach. And the first thing that came to me on my mind is like, not again. Come on, like really.
Mm-hmm.
This is like fresh out of the hearing about the Ahmaud Arbery situation and everything that came with that. And if I remember correctly, I want to say that day or the next day, more details about the Ahmaud Arbery situation came out, and they said that the people who killed him actually ran over his body and said like the N-word. So when I saw this video, I was furious. It felt different to me because usually when you see these videos and things like this happen, there's always 1,001 excuses that get made, like in the comments and stuff like, oh, well, he shouldn't have been resisting, or what was he doing to get this cause? But this time it was kind of everybody was just, this is wrong. Mm-hmm. Like it was overwhelmingly amount of people saying this is wrong, this is messed up, this shouldn't have happened. And that kind of gave me an idea like, okay, people are not being jerks about it right now. They are seeing this situation for what it is, and it's an injustice. And I didn't think it was going to blow up this big, but I knew that people were going to be upset, angry, and want something done about it. Now, and even in that day, I kind of had a little hope because one of the things that happened in this situation that I've never seen happen in any of these situations is the fact that as soon as that video came out, those cops were immediately fired.
Yep.
Like the same day. And the mayor came out and said a speech about it and everything. And that has never happened in any of these cases that we've seen thus far.
Mm-hmm.
And like a lot of times we don't even hear about the case like with the Ahmaud Arbery thing. We didn't hear about it for 2-3 months later.
Yeah. You know what I found interesting about the Ahmaud situation was how because there's always that quick, real fast by the media, like, yeah, but he jaywalked the one time and it was like 10 years ago. You know, there's always that digging into the file to kind of criminalize the person in a sense, to paint him in a different light. And it's just like, number one, that's bullshit. Like, we're talking about someone's life. Like, you know, a funny check does not mean you get to die over it. But I felt like in Ahmaud's case, like when they tried to like slander his image, it didn't stick. Like people were really like, listen, fuck this. I saw the video. Like, let's call this what it is. Like this is vigilante justice, and it should never be a place in our world, you know? So that's when I kind of felt like, okay, something's different here. We're on a different wave right now, because usually we see the killing, we see the murder, we see the video, be it a police officer or some fucking random person in whatever place they live in. Nothing happens because, well, you know, I mean, he did shoplift like fucking a bag of hot Cheetos like 16 years ago when he was like in 7th grade. And it's like, that's the different light. And so this time that light didn't shine the way that it usually does. And I was like, okay, we're in a different move here.
Yeah, the media was attempting hard to sway the thinking on Ahmaud Arbery.
Yes.
By saying, you know what I'm saying, they had video of him looking at a construction ground, and people were just like, well, I do this shit all the time with this new construction around my neighborhood. What are you talking about?
Yeah.
Everybody does that. Everybody goes and checks out to see what the layout of the new houses are.
Yeah.
And well, here he is as a teenager being arrested or bothered by the cops or whatever. And they're like, yeah, that was some bullshit too. You know, so it's just over and over again. Like with George Floyd, as it turns out, was very well loved in his community, well known throughout it. I have a buddy who regularly goes on up to Minnesota and said he got a hug from George Floyd once upon a time. Now, you know what I'm saying? Yeah, I trust him because he's a trustworthy dude, but it's like one of those situations where it's like they know this guy. You know what I'm saying? He worked I guess he worked security at a restaurant up there, a Latin restaurant, and like I said, was a known. And even like let's just say it was all legit and that George Floyd used a counterfeit bill, because that's what it ended up being. I thought it was a counterfeit check, but no, it was a counterfeit bill. Let's just say he did give that man a fake.
Okay, so that's what it was. I've heard it bounce between.
Yeah, but the reality of it is that's not a crime punishable by death.
Right.
At best, I think you got to pay back the 20, and who knows where he got that money from? Again, like I said, he worked, you know what I'm saying, working security and stuff like that. Somebody could have tipped him with a fake 20 and he wouldn't have known, you know? So it's just everything about that situation. Add to that, we are in the midst of this pandemic. And so I feel like the nation as a whole is a bit more focused. We're not worried about what's going on at work tomorrow, because a lot of us either are not working or we work from home. And you, like I said, adds that our for once we're focused and we're angry and we're so forth, and so that's why all of a sudden the nation, every state at this point has had a march for police reform and justice for George Floyd. All 50 states, you know what I'm saying, all around the world. I've seen them marching in London. I've seen them marching in Dublin. I've seen them marching in New Zealand.
Yeah, I was going to say New Zealand, man.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying?
Zealand.
It's like the world is out here watching, and what the world is seeing is cops is on some bullshit. And and over and over again, you see it. I don't know if y'all saw the video of the Australian reporter was reporting live at a protest in DC, and she says, "Press." Cop don't care. Come up. Jaw jack, or it seemed like he punched her cameraman, you know, saying right in his shit. They had to go run for cover and safety. And at this point, hundreds of videos of similar situations or similar interactions with the police during these protests are occurring. So right now, it's not people riding, it's cops riding. They're out here wilding. And guess what? They were the problem to begin with. And I think everybody is waking up to that. You know what I'm saying?
Definitely.
Why do we have such a militarized police situation in our country? Why is the budget in every city for police the largest expenditure any of these cities have, as opposed to, you know what I'm saying, maybe social programs or libraries or schools or just whatever? It's all just these little military juntas these cats got in their cities that it's shocking. But then it's not shocking because I've been black my whole life. So
facts.
I've been new. But now people who had doubted it or just didn't believe it are out here marching and experiencing what I knew to be the truth this entire time.
Well, hold up. Before we go on, we got a comment in the chat from Cousin Sneasel, and I want to bring it up because this is pertaining to this. He said, I thought the Floyd vid was more graphic compared to the gentleman in New York. It had to be the need that they are taught to use. It was horrible, and I think that plays a big part into it. That we saw him, like his life go out of his body.
We saw somebody get murdered, live and uncut.
And it looks like we got Dre joining us too. Are you in, Dre?
Dre from the Morning Sources podcast. Look.
Yeah, I'm here. What's going on, guys?
Hey, so we're kind of going around, and the question that Delvin asked was, where were you when you saw the George Floyd video, and what was your second piece, Delvin?
What did you think of it? That was the main thing. Just where were you when you saw the George Floyd video, and what was your mindset at when you saw? How'd you feel about it?
Well, I didn't watch it.
Okay.
I've seen that played out more than I would care to see it played out, over time. So I didn't watch it. I saw, like snapshots of him, and I read, his final words and everything. But, honestly, I think I wasn't as surprised anymore. We've seen this, right?
Right.
We've seen this play out time and time and time again. And I think the scary part for me, not even scary, is just like the advent of camera phones, right?
Yes.
That's when this happened. Do you know how fortuitous it was to catch Rodney King getting his ass beat on camera in 1990, whatever? Now,
92, right?
Yeah, it was like 91, 92. Now, imagine how many thousands of black men in that area were Rodney King. There just wasn't no camera around. So we've seen this so many times that I think the shock value is wearing off. Like, it's cool that everybody is like, kumbaya, it's time to, Black Lives Matter, like all of that shit. Like, I get it. It's cool that they're saying it. We've been screaming that shit for years. We've been screaming that for years. It ain't always been Black Lives Matter. It's been Fight the Power. It's been many, many things, and black people have been screaming for help for years. I mean, I'm glad that everybody is joining in and everybody wants us to, they want our lives to matter, but I feel like our lives have become a commodity where every entity is coming out and saying Black Lives Matter. Why the fuck are you saying it now? Is it because you want our money? You don't want us to stop giving you our money, so now Black Lives Matter. Now Reebok is gonna, or Adidas or whoever is gonna, 30% of our new hires are gonna be people of color, and everybody else is throwing up all this shit. But we've been saying this for fucking years. I don't care that they're doing it now. I really don't. Should have been doing it all the time. We have been screaming and begging for help. And no one has been willing to help us when African Americans are at the forefront of everybody's problem. When Trump was trying to build that wall, it was black people there to say, no, you can't build that wall. But nobody would help us. Not even the people that we help all the time. So, I saw it and I was angry, and I'm still angry. I think, more than anything, my feeling is like I'm tired. I'm tired of everything and everybody. I'm tired of Malcolm X quotes. I'm tired of Martin Luther King quotes. I'm tired of people social justicing on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. I'm tired of blackouts. I'm tired of all that shit. Because at the end of the day, a lot of those people in a few months are going to go away. And black people are going to be right where they always have been. We're going to be alone. And that's how I feel right now.
I want to say that, but I don't think it is this time. And the reason why I say that is because this is different.
I always feel it's different at the beginning. I always do.
But
even
Dre, tell me if I'm wrong, and let me know if I'm wrong in hearing what you're saying, because I do agree with you. When this stops being a trend, when this stops, like when people are using this as a photo opportunity to be like, look at me, I'm at the march.
Did you see that?
Like it's a fucking joke. Man. But when this is said and done, you guys are still going to be black men in America.
Yes.
And that's what's not going to change. And that's the part that you're still going to have to fight, and you're still going to have to struggle. Like, I'll preface with this. I think I've said it to each one of you guys. I know the brown experience. I will never know the black experience. And so, yeah. But it's like, but I think you can understand the brown experience because it's just a version. It's just that your version is deeper than mine. I think like the scale can go up, but the scale can't go down. You get what I'm saying? Like,
I feel you.
You can see the variance. And so that's why I never claim to be like, I totally get what you're saying. I'm totally on your page. Because I don't. I can't. I can't do it. I've had my profiling. I've had my experiences. But I will never know what it's like to be a black man in America. And when the novelty wears off, when the shine isn't there, and when people, like I said to my wife earlier today, because she was talking about someone saying, all these mom texts, and I can't believe this racism has been here. And I'm like, shit, it's always been here. They've just been concerned about getting fucking dogs out of kennels and saving cats' lives. So fucking concerned over animals, but not concerned over humans. Like,
I mean, they still. I mean,
that's a problem.
that's a whole thing. That's a whole thing. It's still
Definitely.
kids in cages, and
Yes.
they don't care about that. And
Don't forget, ICE is still out here.
Yeah, for a time, that was a trend. Like, oh man, these kids are in cages, but I haven't heard anybody say anything about ICE in I don't know how long.
Yeah,
like it's been a while because the
And they're
trend is
still
over.
showing
It's a
up.
new trend, and they're still showing up. But I feel you, Del. I feel you, Del. I mean, it is different. It does feel different.
But let me explain why I think it's different now. Because the biggest difference between the protests we've seen with ICE and even the Me Too movement, for that matter, is the fact that this came with violence. Like, unheard of, unprecedented violence in terms of protests, in terms of some people choosing to riot. And if there's one thing that America's scared of, it's angry black people reacting. And that's what's been the whole narrative in this whole thing. And we've never gotten a response like this where people are apologetic. They're like, hey, how can we fix this? Because they want us to stop. It's not that
What took Walmart to take guns out of their stores?
That's my
It
point.
wasn't all the school shootings. It was
people fucking their shit
man,
up.
these black people are out here protesting. So
I'll give you one. I'll give you one better. I'll give you two better for that matter. This whole time, black people been complaining about those fucking Confederate statues.
Yeah,
and they've been making 1,001 excuses. Now every last one of them are being taken away.
You know,
and also on top of that, NASCAR is now banning Confederate flags.
I'll say this, Del. I'll believe that things are real on their end when police departments are being defunded across the country. When they start pumping all of the money that they dump into police departments, into school programs and schools and teachers and, communities, when they do that, I'll believe it. Because right now, cops are showing their ass. I think I heard, I've never met your boy on the other end. What's his name?
I'm T, man. Good to meet you.
What's going on, man? But what you were saying about that, about the cops, they're showing their ass all over the country.
Yep.
Yes,
and
they are.
Every negative stereotype that there is about a cop, they are upholding. They're fighting vehemently to keep it. They're beating the shit out of anybody just so that they can keep beating the shit out of black people.
Yeah.
They want the ability to murder with impunity so much that they are willing to just whoop everybody's ass, shoot rubber bullets at people's heads. You're supposed to shoot rubber bullets at the ground. Have them ricochet up. So take some of their kinetic energy.
And they are pointing at people.
Yeah.
I mean, we're the only country that uses that shit. It's not supposed to be used.
Yeah. Tear gas is against the Geneva Convention. We ain't supposed to use tear gas in this situation. And they just
we're doing
right.
So
they are spraying tear gas like boats on a fucking parade. Just water freely, whatever.
Yeah. Once I start seeing change within police departments, I'll believe the change is actually going to happen because I don't want to say they're the problem. They're part of the problem. And I don't want to say, I'm not one of those people. I know all cops aren't bad. I want to get that out there. But unfortunately for cops, they chose a profession where it does not matter if all cops aren't bad. It matters that some of you are. That's the problem. A fireman cannot say, well, I put out 70% of the fires. A doctor can't say, I saved 70% of lives. That's not how this works. There are some jobs where you have to have a 100% success rate. And if you chose the one where you had to, you being a good cop means nothing. The problem is that there are others in your midst and you're doing nothing about it. So in that instance, you are complicit.
And I would argue that makes you not a good cop.
That makes you not a good cop.
If you're letting these bad cops, these bad apples get away with it, like you said, the three cops who just stood there while this man took George Floyd's life.
Those are bad cops.
Then, bruh,
yes.
You're a bad cop.
Yeah. Let me give you guys a scenario because I had this conversation yesterday. And yesterday it didn't bother me. Today I was actually going to call Delvin in the morning and I was like, I'll save it for this conversation. So a friend I had in junior high, up through high school, a little bit through college, we just live in different areas now. Eventually he went on to be a cop, not that long ago. So he posted some shit on Facebook, which also, like, I don't use my Facebook anymore because it just makes me hate the people I know in real life. But so he said, he posted some shit and was like, if you don't support me or support the badge, then you can unfollow me today.
Okay.
That was it. So, okay, cool. Unfollowed. So that was about a week or so ago. He texted me yesterday and was just like, oh, I see you unfollowed me. I thought you were better than this. And I was like, time out. No. I go, right now, we are on two separate sides. I go, it is not about respecting a badge. Like, because you don't get that automatically from me. Like, respect is not a thing you just, because you have a badge, I have to be like, let me bow down to you. No, I'm not doing that. And I told him, I said, listen, as an educator, as an administrator, if I have shitty teachers and they're not good for kids, they're not good for my community, guess what I do? You gotta get the fuck out. You gotta leave my school. I make sure I do my shit to get those teachers out of there. Instead of just being like, not all teachers are bad. And I'll be like, yeah, that's true. But you know who is? This one. You get the fuck out of my school. And so even my superintendent has said, she's like, you know, as last year was my first year as running my own school. And they were like, hey, really proud of you that you actually let someone go, because a lot of first year principals will not let someone go. They'll sit on them. And I was like, nah. And I let another teacher go this year too. And so I said, no, I need you to do your job. You see one of your partners fucking up, you need to say something. I go, because that partner is making you look bad. And if you're allowing him to do that, then you're just as bad. But he couldn't see it. And it was just like, and that's why we're not on the same side. So I said, you're choosing your brotherhood over protecting a community. You're choosing that. And so I said to him, I said, listen, here's what I'm going to leave you with. Stay safe, and I hope you get a clear head. That's all I'm going to tell you. And he came back with, oh, it's because I'm white. Oh, it's because I can't fix everybody. And I said, number one, I never said that. I said, I want you to go back and read this thread and then tell me where I pointed out that this is a race issue. Tell me where I told you to fix everybody, because I didn't say that. In the end, throughout the whole thread, he was like, hey, I'm sorry, I came at you wrong. I understand what you're saying. But it's just like, no. It's not always back the badge, because there are some dumb motherfuckers out there.
That's
but
their
the
initial
good
reaction,
ones,
though.
The good ones need to fucking step up. If you're a good one, step up. If you're trash and you associate with trash, you're trash. Because you know what? If you know anything about bad apples, in reality, bad apples will spoil all your fruit in that basket. They're toxic. They put out a gas. That's a real scientific fact. Fucking look it up. And they will spoil bananas too. Just letting you know. but with that, so it's like
we got some questions. We got some comments from the chat.
But let me finish with this. If you're gonna kick it with bad apples, then expect to get spoiled too.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Okay, we got one from Noise 804, and they say, when I was locked up 15 years ago, I was treated like lesser than a human, but everyone in jail was treated the same way. I think something needs to be done for the treatment of all humans. So what do y'all think of that statement?
Yeah.
He's right.
There's no argument for that. Like,
no, there isn't.
Like that's an agreeable thing. But let's also, because we don't want to put this in an all lives matter scenario, the rate in which infractions, deaths occur towards the Black community are much higher. Yeah. So let's keep that in mind. So yes, people should be treated in a certain way, but let's recognize why we're having this conversation.
Definitely. Also, Cousin Sneasel said that he would like everyone who had that first week energy to keep that energy all the way to November for the voting polls.
That's true as well.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I live
this
in Georgia.
Energy can't die.
Okay. I live in Georgia.
Where they're having the KKK rally today?
Georgia.
Yes.
They're having the KKK rally in Rome, but beyond just the cake, I mean, it's Georgia. We know what it is. Like, the voter suppression in Georgia is unlike anything I've ever seen in my 37 years of living.
Like Florida.
Like it might be worse than Florida.
It's different. They have taken it back to Jim Crow.
Yeah, this is crazy.
Yesterday was wild in Georgia. I went to high school in Georgia. So I lived in Georgia some years back, but Also left Georgia, so there you go. But yeah,
I
from what
live
I
in Gwinnett,
saw, from what I saw yesterday,
I'm in the
it
Blue
was
County.
it was very wild. And
Only in African American neighborhoods, though,
exactly.
or
It's-
low income.
Yeah, it's like
Either
they took square aim at and made it so if you was gonna vote, then fuck it, it was your whole day.
Yep.
And you know what? That doesn't work for a lot of people. It doesn't work for a lot of black people in particular. And so, like I said, yeah, I need that energy. I do hope we all can get out and vote. But right now, they suppressing the vote in places like Georgia. And so, great, vote. But right now, we trying to burn this bitch down. So let's focus where we are right now. Let's try to burn this bitch down. And I mean that so sincerely, man. I'm a man who has never missed an election since I've been able to vote. So I do vote, and I take that so seriously.
Mm-hmm.
But right now, nah, I need boots on the ground. I need y'all facing off with these fools, and I need everything. I need y'all on point because right now we ain't gonna get another one of these right now. Man, we never have another George Floyd. But then that's already false because during these protests, we hearing about the cop in LA who just got fired and arrested. The cop in New York who got arrested. No, Philly who got arrested. But his boys is over here cheering for him as he comes out the fraternal police clubhouse to go toward to go to jail or whatever. And so I wish there wasn't more George Floyds, but they are, and they're occurring right now, and they're occurring daily. They are. Cops is rioting right now. Cops is wilding because they are being seen for what they are, and they don't like that. The New York,
oh my God, that
New York Police Union chief was out there today saying the press is against us.
They're treating us like animals.
Yeah, bro. I know what being treated like an animal is, and saying that maybe we ain't gonna give you as much money is not being treated like an animal. It's just not. And it's. Forgive me for getting so up at it, but it enrages me that it keeps being. But what about? Come on, man. We cops. We do. You've done nothing but wrong. And well, what are they gonna do if they defunded cops? What are y'all gonna do about crimes? It's like, well, right now you do nothing for my community. Mm-hmm. You don't test rape kits, so you do nothing for women. You who are you looking out for? Oh, we know who you looking out for. Right. So go police them. They want you.
Right.
Oh,
I don't.
And the clarity between what is defunding and abolishing too.
Yeah,
I was just going to get into that.
Because my line of work, I am defunded every fucking year.
Exactly.
Every year I'm waiting for it to get better. Like, I do not understand how in the state that I live in, we are an economic powerhouse and we are of the bottom 10% of funding going towards education.
That's a lot.
But it doesn't make sense because this brings in the other element that affects your community and my community, and that's the school to prison pipeline.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
What are we doing to stop that? Oh, we're going to pay for the people who help put kids in the prison pipeline
instead of help the people that keep them out. It's stupid.
Right.
But it's part of the plan.
Right.
I just read some numbers today that X amount of children have a police officer in their school, but don't have a social worker, don't have a nurse, don't have, any kind of other kind of helps. But they all got cops in their school because they want that there. They want that presence. And like I said, right now, for whatever reason, they listening. And they seem to want to be, they seem apt for change. So for right now, yes, indeed, truly, I want you to vote when it comes to November. I do believe that. But I need y'all pushing forward. I need y'all moving this ball down the field because it needs to be moved downfield.
Right. And you said something earlier that I think doesn't need to be apologized or restrained. Use that voice, use that energy, have that passion behind it, because it just, like you're saying, it isn't that time to hold back. I was listening to a show earlier today, and one of the hosts was like, "It's time to have a conversation." And to me, that sort of enraged me because I was like,
"Yeah,
no.
We've tried
that conversation. we passed that. We are way past the conversation because you didn't like it when it was a fucking peaceful protest, when it was just, hey, take a knee, just acknowledge what it is. No. You didn't like it then. I tried to talk to you. We tried to have a conversation. It wasn't good. So now I'm not going to entertain these fucking piddle paddle fucking. Let's talk about. I want to hear about the Black experience. Tell me about it. want to be an ally.
We've been yelling
Right.
the Black experience and dying in the streets and marching.
Yeah.
Every time this happens, we march and we riot and we loot. And, sometimes I think we can be our own worst enemy in the midst of these types of things, because you have a certain subset of African Americans that say, we need to do better. We need to do better. And I hate that. I don't know about you guys, but I hate that term. I hate the term that we need to do better in terms of these types of things, because and it's always brought up about like black on black crime and things like that.
Which is a myth.
Which is a myth, but
100% a myth. And that irks me so much
it does. That is the other thing that bothers me, because I don't need to do better. And so basically what they're saying is the people that are killing, raping, robbing, and stuff, they need to be more efficient at that, because that's what they've chosen to do, right? So why lump us all in the same group? Because that's essentially what everyone else does to us. I don't want to be told that I need to do better.
Because that's disrespectful, just right off top to the three of you. Knowing you guys and who you are and what you do, how do you need to do better? You need to provide for your family. Each one of you checks the box. You need to do for your community and be for your people. You guys do that. What do you need to do better? That's lumping people in the wrong fucking direction, and that goes back to that police thing. You guys already know what it's like to be portrayed as thugs and animals.
Yeah,
I just don't. I prefer it to not come from my own people.
Right, exactly.
So we look at people like in Chicago. I'm from Chicago, and the looting and the rioting, it was crazy in Chicago for like 2 days, and people are looking at it like, well, you're burning down your own. You're burning down your own. Like, I understand it. I honestly do. I wish they wouldn't have, but fuck them buildings. Those buildings will be back. Walgreens and Walmart will open up 2 days later.
Exactly.
But people were still they were so up in arms. And when you do that, you empower other people to say the exact same thing about you. You give them look, the black people are saying it about themselves. So of course we can. There's no unity. They're burning this shit down because, like you said, the peaceful protest was tried. They said, shut that shit up. We don't like that. Cap, you out of here. We tried marching. And there's always these they try to put Malcolm and Martin up against each other. And I saw this one meme where it was this is a protest, and it was Malcolm and everybody marching, and then it was the riot, and it was this is a riot. And I told somebody, and they both got their ass beat.
Mm-hmm.
Malcolm got his ass, Martin got his ass beat. It was called Bloody Sunday because they were beating the shit out of black people for marching and protesting peacefully, and they're still doing it now. So burn, like you said, burn this shit down. That's how they're going to learn. That's how they're going to understand. That's how they're going to listen. Keep burning it down until there is nothing left for you to burn down. And then when you find that, raise the goddamn ground. Do it all. America was built on a fundamental flaw. It is inherently flawed. And once you burn down the entire system, then you can build it back up. America is it is the greatest country in the world, but great, obviously, but it is fundamentally flawed. It was built upon the backs of human beings that were never paid for their work, and it is still being built upon the back of human beings that aren't being paid for their work. Nothing has changed. You went from slavery, Jim Crow, mass incarceration. It's nonstop. It's like the Matrix. When Neo was talking to dude in the goddamn room with all the TVs, and he said, "This is the 7th time we've destroyed your world, and we've become exceedingly efficient at it." White America has become exceedingly efficient at fucking black people up at every given turn. So when we burn this shit down, I have no reason to apologize for it happening, because you've been burning us down for the entirety of American civilization. Burn it down. Who cares?
I got some comments to read, and I got some thoughts to share. The first comment is from Senna AL, and she says, most schools share a nurse, which means diabetic children are at risk, but we have police who aren't trained in conflict resolution in schools, which is a very valid point. These police, if you see how they treat our kids in these schools, how many videos have we seen where a big old police officer is tackling a little black girl down and putting her hands behind her back and literally trying to beat the crap out of this child because they think she's acting up in class or not acting the way they like. This stuff is trained. This stuff is taught. This stuff that they constantly do all the time and get away with it. And this is one of the first times in history where we see cops are scared. They are legit scared because for once they're seeing what happens when you push somebody too far. They have gotten away with stuff for so long with no consequences whatsoever. Now they are seeing the consequences of their action happen live, and they're sitting there saying, whoa, why are you guys doing this to us? And on the flip side of that, people have abandoned it. Like, a lot of people are not really saying anything about it. The cops feel abandoned because they've dug this hole for themselves. And you can tell where the most racist shit with cops have been happening, because that's where the most shit is getting torn up in terms of, like, I talked to my brother about this the other day, and I asked him about the protesting and stuff like that. And he said, no, we've been pretty peaceful. We haven't really had that many riots down here, and it hasn't really been that bad. And I think one of the reasons because as soon as it happened down here with the George Floyd situation, our police department put out a whole letter telling everything that the cops are allowed to do and not allowed to do. And they set that up to tell you, look, we know we've messed up, but we're going to do better. They made it out to come out ahead of this and say, we're going to work with you guys to do better. Whereas you have the dickheads in New York, like, no, you guys are against us. No. That's not the way you handle things. When you fuck up, you have to live with that and stand up and say, you know what? We need to fix this for you guys. But time and time again, police officers have done the opposite because they have been in a position of power, and now that position of power has been taken away from them. And now they don't know what to do.
Or at least threatened. And the very idea of it being threatened is freaking them out. They're like, hold on, I like murdering black folk. How you gonna take that from me?
Oh God.
And like I said, just the very notion that we are just out here, people saying, nah, bruh, nah, has them like so shook and so worried. And like I said, they want to be able to murder us with impunity because they've been doing it since the invention of policing. It's literally what policing was for. You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
And so they like, why y'all trying to flip it up now?
Yeah.
Well, because it's about time. It's well past time. And so Here we are, man.
I have another comment I want to read from Noise 804. He says, I can walk in the store and people are watching me by the way I look and dress poorly. I bet it's 10 times having a different skin color. I guess it's 10 times worse having a different skin color. Upsetting and immoral. And yeah, it's just being black. It almost don't matter what you wear or how you act. You can do all the quote unquote right things and you will still get profiled. Mm-hmm. You will still get harassed. You will still get cops pulling you over. And people always say, as long as you listen to the cops, it's gonna be all right. That's bullshit.
Not true. It's not true.
Like I said, during this time, you've seen people hands up and the cop spraying their face with mace.
Did you see the video of the cop? He pulled one dude's mask down
and then
so that he could spray him in the face.
So it's like, don't tell me if you were to
if you just
what
complied.
the cop said or you complied, then it'd be all right because I see people complying and still catching hell.
And dressing well
that's
means
a lie.
nothing. Dressing well means nothing. They killed Malcolm and Martin in a suit.
Yep.
They both had. Yeah. It doesn't matter. Dressing well means nothing. Complying means nothing. It's just whether or not you got the dude who had a bad day and he wants to take it out on you. That's it.
Yeah, but that skin tone does play a huge factor. Like, I know it's happened to me. Have you guys had security called on you? And have you been escorted out of a store? I know it's a silly question, but I'm going to ask it.
Oddly enough, I walked out before security could get to me. But yes, I have.
But it's a real deal because it's like I've been told, you don't look like you can afford to shop here. And I was like, the fuck are you talking about?
Oh, see, that's what I had to tell them. If I got to buy and sell your ass, get the fuck on out of my face with that. But that's just who I am, and that's where I'm at in my, like I said, I've been black my whole life, bro. I've been doing this my whole life. And all it is at this point is you can hear it in my voice, man. This is who I am, and it's just what I say, and this is who I'm going to be. So, how dare they say something like that to you? Because, like I said, I've never had that experience. But again, that is your experience, and like I said,
Right. But that's what I'm saying. The experience is there because it's like they just went based on a profile. But would it be the same if I was like a white guy with a slouchy sweater and a fucking saggy beanie, and it's like, you look like a straight up homeless, but they'd be like, yeah, come in, you're good. Whereas like I remember being in work clothes, like I was still a teacher at the time. I was in work clothes. I needed some new clothes because the weather was changing, and they were like, you know, and this was not even a fucking fancy store. It was like Robinson's May. Like, you know what I mean? Like, it wasn't in the fucking Versace store or some shit, you know? And they were just like, the lady was like, called security and was like, I don't think you can afford to shop here. And I was like, the fuck? Like,
It's just insane.
what are you talking about?
Like that happen.
And so, but it's a real deal. And I'm only sharing one moment because that's one of many times where things like that have occurred. And so it's just like, yeah, I mean, it's beyond the clothes. People just see the image and they go, fucking Mexican coming in here. Look what he's going to do. He's probably going to steal some shit, you know? And that's already made up in someone's head. And then you get people like security or police officers who now they're in their heads with their authority thinking, oh, I'm going to get this motherfucker out the paint right now. And it's like, man, all right, fine. I ain't going to shop here no more. You don't get my money. Let me go find somewhere else to go.
I have an interesting question from Cousin Sneasel.
Mm-hmm.
He says, do you think this feels different because who's in the seat of power?
all of this is, yeah, for sure. It is COVID.
That goes without saying.
It is COVID. It is Trump. It is all these things all at one time. This, like I said, I actually said that on the episode of my show that goes up here in a couple hours, that as we near 2020, kept saying, I really think 2020 is going to be a year of great change and transformation. I thought of it as, happy-go-lucky, okay? You know what I'm saying? Maybe we'll get a raise, or maybe we'll do this, that, and third with life. But maybe what it meant was we about to set this bitch on fire. And I never considered that. Now here we are. You know what I'm saying?
I thought 2020 was we get a new PS5 and Xbox. Like I thought.
I'm not going. Seriously, that's the kind of mindset I was at. I was like, well, new consoles is coming out, and changes on a level, but not this level. But maybe that's where everybody said. Maybe that's where I was a riot. Maybe this is the level we should have been playing this whole damn time, and so here we are. And it's been like a dozen days now, man.
Yeah.
Of people taking it to the streets, people in the streets right now somewhere, you know what I'm saying?
Yes.
In little small towns in Ohio where I live, you know what I'm saying? I up the road from me, I'm like, what is y'all having a protest against? But it's like, there is where I see the difference at. Because they protested in a city I know is Avon, Ohio, which is a really well-to-do town, you know what I'm saying? And they out there protesting there, you know what I'm saying? Not just here, not just in Cleveland and so forth. And I think that's where I feel a bit of the winds of change blowing, you know what I'm saying? And I feel like this COVID situation locking us all down means all our eyes can for once focus. And then now just seeing, like I said, again, there are hundreds of videos at this point of cops just wilding the fuck out during these protests. Yeah. And I think that at that point is like, people were like, ooh, oh, well, I'm saying they may not have believed it before, but it's at this point, I'm saying, I guess it's who you going to trust, me or your lying eyes, you know what I'm saying? It's like, this is it.
Exactly.
This is what we've been telling you this entire time. And now you are either getting a taste of it because they popping at you, or you are at least seeing it on your local news. Like I said, cops out here wilding. So.
Now, I want to take kind of one as a question, one as a comment. Because I'm seeing the same thing out here too. And it's like, I'm seeing protesting in communities where it's like it's predominantly conservative or it's predominantly white, it's a different area, but they're protesting for Black lives, they're protesting for the movement. What's your guys' feel on that, to have these sort of outsider communities in this moment in time out there marching, out there protesting as well? Because I had a staff member approached me, and she kind of downplayed it. She's just like, I can't believe these guys are out here protesting when they're not even a part of the community, when they're not even involved in it. And she said, and she was real. She was like, she's a white lady. She's like, their white lives aren't going to change.
Yeah.
So why are they protesting today when they didn't protest before?
But that's kind of the point, right?
So that's what I'm saying. I want to toss that to you guys. What's your guys' perspective on that?
To bring about this necessary change, you got to involve those people who aren't affected by this.
Yes,
because it's their money, it's their vote, it's I need them to have my back during the situation. I actually kind of need them to stand in front of me and shield me with their privilege and or literally in some of these situations their body.
Yeah,
because they coming for my ass. I'm a 6'2" black man, bro, who weigh a lot, and they gonna see me and they gonna be like, "Well, I was scared of him." They not, because you know who I am. You know what I'm about, man. I'm not scary in any way, shape, or form. But they're going to believe it, or they're going to say they are. So I need.
Now you swing at people when you're startled.
Right.
That's documented. You talked about that.
Just don't be sneaking up on them, bro. I'm just saying, man. So it's like you said, I get it. I understand some people are like, this seems performative. This seems these actions don't seem as if they're doing anything, but they are doing something because maybe your racist ass grandma see that and it just gives her pause. I'm not saying it changed her mind, but maybe it gives her pause. And that's more than we've been able to do. That's more than we've been able to do taking a knee. That's more than we've been able to do marching in Selma. Yep. That's more than we've been able to do setting the fucking hood on fire.
My only thing is I need them to keep it up. And
exactly.
that's where my hesitancy comes in, is that I don't want it to be like, okay, this is the flavor of the month, and now we back to business as usual. Because it's not, I need all of you white folk that are out there marching to continue to do it, to continue offering your support, to continue offering your money. A lot of black people are always like, well, we have to do for self. And I understand that's one of the 5 point or the 10 points. I understand it. But the way that this country is set up, we cannot fix our problems alone.
Yeah.
Yes.
We need the help. We need the collective. We need everyone's help, because it was everyone, like the same people's help that we need is the same people that put us in the position that we're in. So we need them to help dig us out.
Yeah.
This isn't a pull yourself up by your bootstrap situation. We need people in there with shovels and shit. Like we really do. Because we don't have the infrastructure to fix the problems that we have in our communities. Jobs, education. Like when I was in school, when I was in grammar school, I didn't see a computer in my grammar school until 8th grade. I was getting up out that motherfucker about it. I didn't learn how to type until 8th grade. There are white kids now that are learning how to type when they're fucking 5. Like that, like, so when you're in an impoverished neighborhood and the people in the neighborhood have no money to help get it out of, like, how do you correct that without the help of people from outside? I'm gonna tell you right now, Inglewood, Chicago, ain't no money in Inglewood, Chicago. So how the hell are we
no money in Inglewood, California either,
or California either? Yeah. How do you get out unless people come in? And I was talking to my brother earlier about like slavery, right? You think about slavery and how many years of slavery there was before white people that actually realized it was bad were born on Earth. How many years went by? It was hundreds of years before there were actual white people that were born on Earth. It was like, man, slavery is fucked up. Maybe we should do something about that. And the only reason why we got out of slavery then is because white people helped. So all of a sudden now we're supposed to be able to do everything by ourselves. It's not realistic. We need their help, and I need them to continue to help. And like you said, stand in front of us, physically and metaphorically. We need you, please. The same way we've been begging for hundreds of years, we're still begging now because we need help out there and everywhere else. It's not just like we want you to be in front of us during the riots or the protests. We want you to be in front of us all the time, because that's where the real work is done. When all of the cameras go away.
I want to up the ante and then give Delvin a chance to chime in too, but say also to the Latin community, the Latin communities that aren't brown in complexion, presenting white. Remember that you're not. Remember that it's a different game, and that we need to support all of us. Like we need to make sure that we are out there marching too, that we are out there supporting, because just because you may associate a certain way when that pullover comes, when that baton comes out, it's gonna hit you.
Before
hit you
Dev
the
says
exact same way.
anything, I'm gonna tell you what was happening in Chicago, right? Mexican brothers in Chicago was fucking black people up
Mm-hmm.
and discriminating.
Saw that Latin Kings bullshit, man.
Latin Kings was not like men or boys; they were beating the shit out of women.
Wow.
And it didn't stop because the Latin Kings in Chicago are affiliated with Vice Lords, BDs. It didn't stop until higher up Vice Lords spoke to higher up Latin Kings. And essentially they're just like, well, those are some young guys. We're not about that. That's what stopped it for the most part. It's still going on where if you go past Berwyn, Cicero, Lil Village, if you go past there, you're black, there's a good possibility they're gonna rip you out your car and beat your ass. So to your point, yeah, y'all black too. We need y'all help too. Because when the baton comes out, it's a fact.
I mean, I even put it in the chat before this conversation where I was like, hey, are you guys good with me being on? Because I'm not trying to appropriate this conversation. I'm not trying to come in to be just like, hey guys, come on, let's talk. It's like, no. Like, the big picture here is, if they're coming for one of us, they're coming for all of us. And that's a real deal. And just because you may present or be in a certain fucking task bracket, that don't mean shit. Like, I had police come to my school because I looked like somebody. My school site, where I lead the school. The fuck? It's still gonna happen. I make good money. I'm a leader in the community. It's gonna get you. So just unite. Be prepared. Bring the energy. Take care of your people. You gotta do that. It's a fucking teamwork out here, you know? Yeah. But Delvin, go ahead.
Yeah, I think it's we have to have people unite and stand for us because, truth be told, we only make up 12% of the population. It's only so many African Americans out there. And, you know, so it's very important that people go out there and help defend us, especially when, truth be told, like, a lot of the culture in the United States, a lot of things that we do, we set the standards for. And if we're out here providing the music, the entertainment, all the things you love, you can love everything about black culture, including wanting to use the N-word, but you can't defend us when we need you?
Ooh, desperate to use the N-word. Desperate. Like, hungry for it.
It baffles me. It's almost like what my man said from Chappelle's show. Everybody want to be a nigga, but nobody want to be a nigga. It's a fact. It's reality where people will do everything they can to adapt to black culture. Whether it's get ass implants or start twerking or what they think, everything they perceive as black culture, they will take up on themselves and try to make it their own. Like, let's call a spade a spade. People been stealing from black culture forever. Like Little Richard, from Michael Jackson on down. You can look through music history alone and find black culture being taken from and used and watered down and whitewashed.
And that's not even a complex flow map. That's a straight, like, here to here. Like,
yes.
Straight across.
And if you can do all this stuff and steal from black culture and not give us credit for it, the least you could do is defend us when we need it. It's sit there and say, you know what, this is wrong. We need to take care of our black brothers and sisters. And truth be told, it doesn't always happen. It's not only white people who do it. It's Hispanics. It's other races who want to sit there and say, you know what, we're not like those guys. They sit there and fall for the bullshit narratives that people played out on us. Whether it's they see a movie where the black guys are always the criminals, we're always breaking in cars and shit like that. That's not reality. That is fiction. Get that stupid shit out your head. We need to go to reality and what's reality. And reality is simple. Black people, just like everybody else, have good people and bad people. Most black people work 9 to 5s and work very hard to make a living. And it doesn't make it easier when we have to worry about police fucking gunning us down. And that's one of the biggest problems I have with my country. And I am American. I was born here. I was raised here. Don't ever fucking tell me to go back where I came from.
Here you ask where you came from. No, European ass. You go
Exactly.
back to fucking Italy or whatever the fuck.
America is one of the only places where people will tell you go back where you came from when they're not from here.
Yeah.
How can you claim some shit that you stole?
Bruh.
It baffles me the arrogance and the audacity that fucking America has, especially when it comes to black people. Black people did not ask to be here. We were born here as fucking slaves. Point blank. But yet, people are always constantly blaming us for all of the country's problems. Oh, crime's so high because those goddamn black people. No, the fuck it isn't. That's the narrative that you spun.
Our 12% is accounting for everything, huh? 13%.
Yes. Everything that they want to blame us for. It's almost like how companies, like, big companies, every time something happens to a big company and they lose money, they pick that one department to blame everything on.
Mm-hmm.
Like, oh, Walmart sales are down. I guess it must be this Starbucks that we have connected to it that's causing our sales to drop. No, that's not how America is supposed to work. If America's supposed to be the land of the free, it's supposed to be the land of the free for everybody. Not everybody except black people.
Mm-hmm.
That's not how shit works. But forever in a day, that has been the narrative that this country has portrayed. They have told us forever that, you know what? When you see Lady Liberty, it doesn't matter to you. They've been lying to us forever, for one thing. Mm-hmm. Like, history has changed for America so many times. When we were kids, they told us Columbus discovered America. That shit ain't true. They told us so much bullshit.
How you discover what's here?
Yes. I remember being younger.
Land.
Exactly. I remember being younger and how history portrayed Malcolm X as the villain and Martin Luther King as the hero of the story. Mm-hmm. But when you get older and you do the research for yourself, that wasn't the case at all. But if you don't look for that knowledge to find it out, there are so many people who probably still think that same bullshit today. And it frustrates me so much because I have 2 African American kids. My grandmother, I come from a history of black people. Facts. I've seen the stuff my grandmother going through, my mother have gone through, I've gone through, my kids go through. At some point in time, this bullshit has to end. You can't keep treating black people like shit and expect us to just take it. And that's why America is in the situation it is in right now. If they don't shape up, it's going to get a lot worse. Just like there was a reckoning for all those fucking horrible, awful people who are raping women with the Me Too movement. This is the reckoning for black people. This is the time where black people say enough is a fucking enough. You're not going to treat us like shit anymore. There's going to be consequences and repercussions for that shit. And I am glad it's happening now.
Yeah.
That takes it right back to T's burn it down statement. Like, this is the time to, it's got to be the phoenix from the ashes. Like, it's got to burn all the way down before you can build brand new, because you can't build a new structure on what is already not built for us.
It's already broken.
Yes.
It was already broken. It's already, yeah. And then something, that Delvin was kind of going along brings me back to the text message that I was getting the other day. One of the messages that this guy texted me, he said, I thought we could have mutual respect. I thought we could have a conversation. And I responded to him and I said, mutual respect is an American falsehood. Like, you don't respect me. You want me to respect you, but it's not mutual. It's one-sided. I comply. You have power over me. I listen while you speak. But when I want to say something, fucking wetbacks, man. Fucking wetbacks. They're out here taking their jobs. And it's like, no, it's not mutual respect. Mutual respect is when I sit quietly while you talk shit to me. Mutual respect is when you say whatever the fuck you want and I get marginalized. But that's not real. That's not a mutual respect. You just want me to shut the fuck up. And that's
Yep.
where it's got to start all over.
I got this tweet that I had actually sent to my partner and her sister the other day because
Choke up a little.
sorry. And in that tweet, who is from CD Vaughn 16, that way we give credit, it says, agree to disagree is reserved for things like I don't like coffee, not racism, homophobia, and sexism, not human rights, not basic common decency. If I unfriend you during this, it is personal. We do not have a difference of opinion. We have a difference of morality. Mm-hmm. Because we've been playing this, but can't we just all agree to disagree and blah, blah, blah? It's like, nah, bruh. Y'all need been on our neck this whole damn time. Like I said, I've been black my whole life. That's just what it is, man. So we can't play this game anymore. That's, like I said, another time. Another reason, like I said, I am skeptical. Don't get it twisted. Because all of a sudden everybody can just wrap it up Saturday and be like, all right, we did it. But I am hopeful, which is I'm a half full kind of motherfucker. I can't help that, bruh. That maybe now is the time for this so very old and needed change. And I guess I'm grateful for that little bit of hope, that little fire of hope that's still burning in me. You know what I'm saying? I hadn't quite gave up all the way yet. So I remain patient. That's another thing, man. I know it's been so long. It's like, damn, how patient can you be? It's like 400 years, bro. But it's just like, change is always kind of incremental. So I guess maybe because I'm aware of that, I kind of get that. But it's good to see people out here fighting the fight. It's good to see people who, like we said, who this doesn't affect, out here fighting a good fight, because you need those people. You need these soldiers, and you need them on the ground. And I'm glad for that, and I'm hopeful for that. Because like I said, 12%, man, we ain't shit. We ain't nothing to this country. But at the same time, this country wouldn't be here without us, you know? How wild is that? You know what I'm saying? You stole this land and brought enslaved people here to build it.
We're nothing and everything.
Yeah.
Yes. Now, let me ask you guys this question. As fathers of sons, fathers of daughters, how are you guiding your children through this?
Quite literally, like I said, I'm from the town where Tamir Rice was murdered in seconds by a police officer. 12-year-old boy shot dead in the park with a toy gun. It's an airsoft gun, so people say, well, it kind of look real. But I'm just like, your white kids don't got to worry about playing with toy guns in the yard and getting shot up. They can do it and just be fine. But my kid can't I can't let him take a Nerf gun outside the house when he was at that age. And so that was the first time, because he was around. I believe my son and Tamir Rice are the same age or maybe a year apart. That was the first time I had to sit and tell my son, give that son that talk that you always hear so much about. And it changes every year. It gets a little more. My son is very nearly about to get his license. So now that means my son is driving, which means he can be pulled over and have an interaction with a cop that could be bad. So now I have to talk to him about what he has to do in these situations. It's me constantly having to tell them that you are Black in America. My children are biracial, but let's be real, they Black in America. And that they white friends could get away with some bullshit. My son's friend, I guess my son's friend told him at least that his dad took him rioting. And at that point, I was like, I really don't need you kicking with that little boy no more, because if his daddy taking him riding, because you know what I'm saying, this white boy taking
is that
him
his
out.
hockey friend that's always doing bad stuff?
It is his little hockey friend, little badass hockey friend. And my man Chaufie know me, so it's like, yeah. And I'm like,
I've heard these stories.
And I'm like, oh, you see, his dad can take him rioting. To what end? But my job is to keep you safe from these motherfuckers who would try to kill you just for your scam. You know what I'm saying? So I've had to talk with them. I had to talk to my daughter. My daughter, the talk, she's a little younger, so the talk is a little different, but it still is based on history and what has come before them. And I can tell them that my mama, see what I'm saying? That's another thing. My mama lived through Jim Crow, not my great-great-grandmama or whatever. My mama, 72 years old, about to be 73, God bless her, lived through Jim Crow. and separate water fountains and not integrated schools and so forth. You know what I'm saying? This is within a generation. This is not something that is so far back or so far gone. And so I shared that with her, and I tell her that, you know what I'm saying, we as a people have lived through and are living through strange and difficult times. But my daughter's super militant, super always out there fighting for her little gay friends. I say that, I know that sounds so off the cuff, but it's like she got a lot of gay friends. That's basically her. She chose that to be her little ministry, I guess. You know, so how she out there supporting people. So she always out there trying to fight for people already. So it's kind of in her already, and I like that about her. You know what I'm saying? So it's real easy to speak to her about, all right, well, this is what it is for you and what it means for you. And she is about to be 13. So, you know what I'm saying? I love that in her. So that's what it has been on my end to be a father, talk to my children about this and what's wrong about it and what's right about it and what hopefully can come about it, you know?
How about you,
want to
Dre?
go next, Dre? Where we go?
Oh, I can go. Yeah, I'm trying to pull my kids, pull them along slowly. Because down here we're still kind of like we had just told them about the Arbery case, the white guys tracking them down, murdering them. So I don't want to bombard my children with this much negativity, but we are, we're letting them know what's going on. And like you said, your daughter, so I got a 13-year-old, an 11-year-old, a 9-year-old, and a 7-year-old. And my 11-year-old daughter, like you said, she's militant. And one of the things I've had to find, like me and my wife has found that we've had to do with her, because she's like, fuck white people. She's not using that word, but essentially that's what she's saying.
It's in her soul.
It's in her soul. And we've had, we have to find ourselves telling her, well, we don't want you to think like that, but we just want you guys to be aware. Because my son, he's 13, but my son's voice is as deep as my voice now. Mm-hmm. So some cop can walk behind them and tell him to do something. He could turn around and talk, and they'll think he's an adult. The next thing you know, they scrapping, and my son is getting killed. So we have to explain to him, like, there are some things you can't do anymore because you're not a short, cute kid anymore. You are about to be a teenager. Your voice is changing. Your voice is deep. People are not going to look at you the same way. We have those discussions with him. And, the younger two, I don't want them to know everything. I honestly don't, because one of the best things for me being a father is seeing their innocence. And I don't want to take that from them at 7 and 9. Tell my 9-year-old, well, these people ain't nothing but a nigga. And then, he's hardened. I don't want him to be hard. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. That's kind of the reason why I left Chicago. It's like the hardened way of living in Chicago is it's like, you don't have no choice. I moved down here because I want them to have a choice. And like you were saying, you've lived in Georgia, but like I said, I live in Gwinnett County. So that's like the only blue county.
Yeah.
In all of goddamn Georgia, pretty much.
I lived in DeKalb, if that matters.
Yeah, exactly. So, I want them to know what's going on. We keep them, like my son, they ask questions like, what's going on? Why did this happen? And, we explain it to them. Like, they're Black. You're the same way you are. This is why it happened. And we don't have all the answers because honestly, I don't know.
Yeah.
I honestly don't know. And I try to do that too. If I don't have an answer, I don't just make an answer up. I don't know why that cop held his knee on that dude's neck. Like, because to me, a normal person, I wouldn't do that. That psycho did. I'm not psychotic. So outside of racism, I can't tell you why he did it. And I don't know why those other 3 cops stood by and watched it happen. I don't know why the other guy was on his back. I don't know why that dude was holding his legs. I don't know why the Asian guy was looking out and stopping people from stopping it. I don't know because I'm not crazy. And that's what I tell my kids. I want them to know that the world is the world. You're a Black man, you're a Black girl. It's not built for you, but you're going to make it work. The same way I have. Like, I found my way in the world. I'm I make good money. My wife makes good money. We have a nice house. We have cars and all of that. You're going to have that. But know that it's a little bit more difficult for you. And that's the way the world is, unfortunately. Hopefully, by the time they get my age, it'll be different. I hope so. Because it's not a very good world right now. And that's what I try to impart to them. Just keep working. Work on the world. And quit telling people you hate white people. I try to tell them that all. You can't say that. You can't say that. You can't say that.
That's true. That is true. my daughter is very liberal with that phrase, and she's like she's in second grade, and she said shit the other day, and I'll let Delvin go real quick, but she was like, probably a white person, and I was like, hey,
That sounds like her daddy.
I said yes. Hold on.
However,
In the house, we're good. Outside, you gotta chill. But anyways, Delvin, go.
My kids are kids of privilege, like in terms of like they get whatever they want, so they live in their own little bubble with video games and life. But their mother's Hispanic. I'm black, of course.
What?
Yeah, shocker. But I have took this whole thing head on in terms of I show my kids videos of racism. I show my kids videos of police brutality to let them know this is a cold fucking world. These are things you have to be aware of, and being naive of it is not going to help you. Like, my son is 14 years old now. My daughter's 12. And one of the scariest things I can think of as being a parent is getting a phone call that your kid has been killed by a police officer. So I make sure I let them know about all these things. I have these conversations with them about, hey, sometimes things aren't fair. You may get stopped by a police officer and you may not be doing anything wrong. But you have to know how to move in these situations so you can come home alive. Sometimes it's okay. Sometimes it's better to be alive and knowing that you were right, but you can't say that you were right, than trying to prove you're right and being dead. And I think a lot of times that's the scary thing. Like, I don't want my kids getting in shouting matches with cops because I've seen those shouting matches turn out in violence and that person doesn't come home. And that's a terrifying thought. And I very much so want my kids to know about black culture and be ingrained in it. I buy them a lot of books by black authors to read and to get that knowledge of that black experience, because I'm an older guy. Well, not really that old. I'm 40 years old, but I grew up in the 90s. In the 90s was a different era. 90s was almost the Wild West in terms of 92, 93 years old. 92, 93, we're listening to Snoop Dogg, Tupac, Ice Cube, NWA. That was our vibe. That street culture was kind of ingrained in us. My kids ain't listening to none of that stuff. My kids listen to anime songs and stuff like that. They watch Pokemon, and my son don't even like hip hop.
My son doesn't either. It annoys the hell out of me.
It really bothers
me. They're not fucking with like it's kind of wild to me that like Fear of a Black Planet is still relevant today.
Yes.
But when I play it, my son is like, can we hear the new Yachty album? I'm like, what? Like, listen what they're saying.
My son isn't that bad. He likes like soul music,
I mean,
like
the Yachty
Michael
album
Jackson
I enjoy.
and stuff.
I'm not gonna lie, but I'm just saying.
He likes like soul music, like Jackson 5 and stuff like that. But I can't play no Nas around him.
Man, I'm like, what? Like you don't like Nas? I was playing some Rick Ross. I'm like, you don't like this? He's like, he's cursing too much. I'm like, what the fuck are you talking about? I'm your father. I curse too much.
Dre said I curse too much. Like, come on, man.
If you don't get into him with this Ross and leave me alone.
Yeah, I'll be in the house so like Samuel L. Jackson.
My daughter's a show tunes kind of girl, but her mama was a show tunes lady here too when she was alive. So I mean, I kind of expect that of her. Mm-hmm. My son is a little all over the place, but it is all hip hop. You know what I'm saying? He'll play some Juice WRLD, but he'll throw some Gambino on and some Ye and stuff like that there. So he ain't deep into the underground hip hop like this Elder Hair Toucher single I got here sitting on my desk, but at least he'll spit it. And basically, he's been listening to hip hop he definitely has been listening to hip hop his entire life because that's what I played. You know what I'm saying? So I like that that's in him. I can't do nothing about my daughter, man, but she likes show tunes, and that's okay too, bro.
Yeah.
My daughter wants to see Hamilton.
So did mine, and it's outlandishly priced.
Yes.
Yeah.
But it also comes on Disney Plus here in a couple of weeks, so we can just sit and watch.
Yeah, like real soon. But I will say, like, you know what? I know it's outlandishly priced. Buy that ticket. It's an experience. Like I'm not a musical type of guy. Like my kids fucking went wild for it. They're theater kids. I'm just like, they're weird. I don't know. But that Hamilton is, do that for your kid. It'll be definitely worth it.
Yeah.
But I mean, this leads us into another realm too, and this is kind of what we were talking about earlier, and that's like, I know I've seen it in varying forms, but it's like, like if you're gonna embrace Black culture, embrace all of it, you know. And as we're talking about hip hop right now, we're talking about rap, and we're talking about soul. Like modern music now, it is. I'm gonna boil it down. Is Black music.
Yeah.
And it's like people doing variants of Black music, as it's always been, but now it's more predominant.
Especially, so I don't know if y'all heard country music, like modern country music.
Oh, you mean with like fucking 808 beats, fucking
trap?
That
shit is straight up trap music. It's straight up trap music, and every time I hear it, I'll sit there astounded a little bit. I'm like, because I know who wrote it, and I know where it came from, and I'm just like, so y'all gonna pretend y'all just don't like hip hop? Y'all listen to hip hop right now?
No, here's the other thing too, is that like. I saw something recently and it blew my fucking mind because it was when it was like when Lil Nas X was coming out, but there's also like a white guy. He's like a hybrid of, I can't remember his name, but it's something Minaj something or whatever. And it's like you have Timberland doing country beats, you have fucking like Michael, like all these guys who do the hip hop fucking tags, they're doing the country beats too. They're just not as like out in the forefront. And it's like, if you're going to embrace the culture, embrace all the fucking culture. If you want the hairstyles, you want the fashion, you want the drip, you want the look, you want the sound, you want the slang, then be it. But that means if you're going to be it, you got to go all the way. Like, support it all the way, because it's not just off the rack. Because, again, I'm going to bring it back around. When this is all said and done and this trend is over, and I feel bad for calling it a trend, but that's just what our internet culture world is, you guys will still be Black men. And so that's what we really, really got to support. You know, we really got to bring to light. Now, something I wanted to mention was on the sort of like child education, and like my son, one, you guys know my rule I'm reading. I'm like, fuck reading. Reading's trash. But
this man is a principal.
Hey, shut up, man. Hey, don't be putting me out there. Stop it. But my son does not he doesn't enjoy fiction. He doesn't enjoy a lot of reading, but what he does devour is is socially charged, politically centric type of stuff. And he's only 11, but that's his shit right there, like social injustice. So a book I really wanted to recommend to people is called, it's by the author Jewel Parker Rhodes, and the book is called Ghost Boys. And it's a play on the Tamir Rice experience about a boy, Jerome, who gets shot in Chicago. But it takes him through history about how other boys were killed. So the ghost of Jerome links up with Emmett Till and links up with other young boys who have been killed through social injustice. And it's like, it's a young author's book. Or it's a book for young readers, like, you know, your late elementary, early middle school. I highly recommend that you give that to your kids. Ghost Boys. Because he literally meets the ghosts of these boys. And Jerome himself is shot in Chicago. He dies.
Yeah,
and
Chaufie told me about this book, and I bought it for my son. It's excellent.
Yeah, I'm gonna buy it.
Well, I'm
gonna
buy
it.
Amazon right now, so I'm with
it. It is one of my it's my son's, like, it's one of his favorite books. Like, that fucking book changed his life. And there's a couple out there that I might share the links later today, but it's like, there's a way to educate your children. Like, I do think that we, like as Dre was saying, we do have to preserve their innocence. They're fucking kids. Like, let's let them live. Let's let them have some time. It's hard right now. But at the same time, I think it is good that we expose them to some elements of it, to some injustice, to some experience. Because I do tell my son, like, don't forget, you're a brown boy, and you are going to be a brown boy. And like, think I told this story on like the fire brigade. He got suspended once. He got suspended because he laughed in a situation, whereas the boys who grabbed a girl's bottom and verbally harassed her got a talking to.
They were white.
Yes. But my son got suspended because he made her feel uncomfortable.
Not the
And
people
then her
grabbing
mom-
her ass.
Yeah,
And then
the
her
Harvey
mom called-
Weinstein future guy.
Yeah. And her mom called my wife to make an issue about it, but didn't call the other kids.
He's
And
learning
so-
a
and
very
then-
early lesson. And
Yeah,
there was something.
and he-
Go ahead.
No, and I was gonna say, and he couldn't comprehend. And I was like, listen, you know why? Because you're
Because
brown.
it doesn't make sense. It doesn't make. That's
Yeah.
why he can't comprehend it. Because you said he's 12,
He's 11, and this
11?
happened when he was 10.
and it wouldn't make any sense to a 10-year-old. Like that's because it's insane. If you really think about it, there was a story in the protest, same area in Minneapolis. A white man, Asian man, black man, all get arrested for the exact same thing. They gave the white man 1 month, I think it was, or maybe it was 1 week, whatever it was one. They gave the Asian man 3 of whatever the term was or sentence was, and gave the black man 5. Same crime, arrested for the same thing in the same goddamn area. Your son learned that lesson at 10.
Yeah.
That's the way it goes for us. And it doesn't matter if you're black, brown, whatever. If you're not white, you're not right. And they go make sure you know it.
Mm-hmm.
This is the way it goes. And that's part of the fundamental flaw that I was talking about earlier.
Yeah.
You're demonized just for being you.
Yeah. And I told him, I said, listen, man, because I think Dre, you mentioned, or maybe it was T, you mentioned like having the talk with your kid. And that breaks my heart, because we have to have, not when you hear about on TV the talk, it's about the birds and the bees. It's the sex talk with your kids. We have to have the talk, which is, listen, don't fucking get beat up and don't get shot by the police. Like, here's why. Like, we have to have a different talk. That's fucking crazy.
And it's
know what I mean?
multiple talks. And that's
Yes.
the thing people don't get. It changes as the child is getting older. Like the talk that I'm going to have with my son when he turns 16 is not the talk that I had with him last year when he turned 12. It's not when he's 18, he's going to get a different conversation. He's 21. We have to continuously, it's a continuous learning about injustice and how you're going to be perceived as you grow older. Like, I'm not looked at the same way as my 25-year-old brother because I'm 37. So I talked to him about the way that he's going to be seen when he's 27 or 28 or 30. Like, it's going to continuously change. It's not always the same for us. So that talk that you're talking about that people have it's about the birds and the bees. Our talk is a continuous stream of bullshit that we have to tell our children they're going to go through. And that is depressing as a father, that I know that in a few years I'm going to be having a different conversation with my 13-year-old son or my 15-year-old son and my 13-year-old daughter. The conversation is going to be different than it was when they were younger, because it's always going to be a steady stream of bullshit that you have to deal with because your skin color is different.
Yeah.
I have a book recommendation for you guys, your kids. I interviewed an author, I think it was last week on the podcast. His name's Ken Bivens. He has a book called 39 Lessons for Black Boys and Girls. It's like a short read, but it gives literally 39 lessons for black boys and girls to survive in this world. And it tells straight up honesty, like, you're going to face adversity because of the color of your skin. And it's a really cool, easily digestible book for kids to grasp the concept of and to understand what this world is about. I highly recommend it. I got it for both my kids. They love it. Great book. And it's short, so kids will read it. That's the best thing about it. It's short enough where a kid will read the whole thing and be like, all right, I'm good.
Because like Chaufie said, reading sucks.
Yes.
Yeah. No. Fuck reading.
I'm co-opting your shit.
It's been a good conversation, folks.
Yes.
It has been. I wish I was here for the beginning of it.
Yeah.
No, man, you weren't late.
You truly didn't miss anything. You were here for me because
Yeah.
we couldn't get the we had some tech issues. So
Yeah,
Okay.
Baylor tried to come on and it's
Yeah, I
like
thought he was gonna be in here.
he was in
Then
here.
he turned into a transformer.
Yeah.
He must have been at work.
No,
Or
but
in the car.
when I put the call out, I really was like, I really wanted to have this conversation because, like, I think people need to understand, and again, because I feel the need to say it, like, I do not understand the Black experience because I will never experience the Black experience, but I know what it is with my experiences. But it's like, it's important that we as grown men have seen phases of this throughout our lives. And I think it's extremely important that we have the opportunity to be vocal and to be heard, because the energy is different right now. It really, really is, because it isn't just like the LA riots I experienced. It's not the stuff I read, in early history. Like, I do feel like this is different right now. But I do feel that for each of us who lives in different parts of the United States, we have to have a voice. We have to have a communication. And at least for me, a solidarity in the communities, because you guys are guys that I have communicated with, I've built relationships with, and you guys are people that I respect. And that isn't just because we have to have that mutual respect piece. It's because you guys are quality people. You guys are people that listen. You guys are people that are of sound mind. And I need your voices to be heard. So I'm just so very happy that I got this moment to share this with you. So I do thank you guys for today.
Yeah, thank you.
No problem, brother. This was a great conversation. I hope people learned something from it and kind of got a different perspective on it. If you kind of feel like, and I say this because a lot of people have been messaging me about All Lives Matter and the things they should move, the way they should move, and how they should talk and how they should help Black people. This is how you help. Listening to these conversations, getting a better understanding of the situation, and better yet, understanding why it's so toxic and stupid to say all lives matter, when at this point in time we are talking about Black lives. And all lives matter didn't matter a month ago when the pandemic was going on and you were like, hey, why don't we just risk it and if the old people die, the old people just die. Didn't matter then. But now when we talk about Black people, everybody's like, oh, all lives matter. No. Keep that same energy.
Right.
Brother, math so easy. If all lives matter and Black lives are some of all lives, then Black lives matter.
Yes.
It's so simple,
Right.
baby. You ain't got to even do that to yourself to get confused yourself. Sure,
Yeah.
you can have all lives matter in your head, but know that my Black life is amongst those all. So therefore, my Black life matter.
Facts.
It's so simple, man.
Yeah, it's like that Michael Che bit. I believe it's Michael Che who says, not saying they matter more, just that they matter. Just that's all I'm saying. Not more, just equal. Like that's all I'm asking for, man. He's like, if you can't comprehend that,
Oh, they comprehend it.
Oh,
They're telling you that it's not equal. That's what they're trying to tell you. No, it isn't. It's not.
Mhm.
It's not
No.
equal.
Yeah, I don't know. It's hard. It's hard. I really hope for change. I really hope for progress. I really hope that, I mean, to kind of take it in the political end, I hope that we don't get caught up in some butthurt fucking emails bullshit. Like, listen, really be smart here. Don't be a fucking dummy. Like, Bernie bro or not, like, listen, really do what's best for all of us, not just what's best for your fucking pocketbook.
Yes.
Because we're going to be back where we are right now. Might not be next year, might not be the year after that, but we're going to keep repeating this cycle until we make some fucking changes. And that's the real deal.
Until the cycle is broken, it's going to be repeated. So how about we go ahead and break it right now while we all really hyped to do something?
Yeah.
Because I think it was your man, I think it was Gabe who said, like, every great empire falls. Like,
Sooner or later.
Rome isn't there. Rome fell. You know, you had these great empires back in the day. They ain't there anymore. You know, America's not gonna be perfect. If we don't make some changes, we're not gonna last.
Yeah.
You know.
And I think that's the perfect way to end this episode.
Yeah. Do we have any more questions or comments kind of hanging around before we wrap up?
Let me see. It's a bunch of comments and questions. Let me see if I can go through some of them before we go. Cousin Sneasel said, I know you guys, I don't know how long you guys have been going on, but I hope you guys pat yourself on the back because this is probably one of the best conversations of people coming together and having no motivations other than truth and personal life situations. So thank you for that. That was a good
But I gotta
one.
say, Mike has really been doing the best to be an ally. Shout out to Mike.
Yes, shout out to Mike. Let me see if there's any other ones. Oh, Senate AL said, think back to the original civil rights movement. Different people inspired or invoked change. But the worse the person, it makes more important the change. Which makes sense. Like, when you have somebody who does things that make you, well, basically tells you straight up, they're not for you and for your color, it makes people want to inspire that change more. I think that's important. I think that was a good one.
Mm-hmm.
I think those are the main ones. Oh,
T or Dre, you guys got any final?
I have
thoughts
a
before we
funny
wrap up?
one.
Okay, one more. Okay,
I have a funny one specifically for Chaufie. Skyward King, aka Joy Craig, said,
man, fuck that guy. Don't start me.
He said parent of the year, and that's it. And he probably went back to sleep. So there's that.
True. You know what? Just to end this on a light note, you know what? Joey, he's out here trying to say Age of Ultron's better than Endgame. So
horrible
and
person.
Justice
Nah, he's
League is
spam.
too.
He is definitely spam. And I like Age of Ultron, but he's spam.
So just on that. But let's get some parting words and some parting comments as we wrap up. Let's start with T, then we'll go to Dre. What do you guys? Let's wrap it up, man.
Stay motivated. Stay out there fighting the good fight because the fight has to be fought. And I'm grateful. I'm grateful for anybody who has stepped up and stepped on out. You know what I'm saying? Especially during this pandemic time, you are literally putting your life on the line, and that has to be respected. And it will not go unnoticed. I want the world to understand and know that.
Dre,
I'll piggyback off of that. Keep at it. You know, the other thing I would say is that if you're not doing anything, you cannot criticize those who are. They're out there, like he said, risking their lives on multiple fronts, and they should be supported because I know that I keep supporting. I keep supporting. My wife's like, you did it. Yes, I did it again. I want people to get out of jail so they can go back out and do it again and again and again. And I hope that everybody that's listening, if you can, you do the same. I don't expect that. I'm not a protester, and I don't expect everybody else to be. But if you can do anything to help, your money helps, send it as much as you can, as often as you can, because that helps too. That's the way to be an ally. If you can do it, do it.
Good answer.
all right. Yeah, man, I am so happy we got the opportunity to do this and that it came together. Dre, I know it's been a bit before we chatted, but man, I'm so glad you got to come on too as well because I did want you to be heard. Sean wasn't able to make it, but you know he's black, so that's
He's
that.
short too, so.
I mean that is true.
He's
But,
basically a
you
white
know,
supremacist.
Wow. Hey, I need to know the cutoff because you know as Mexicans we ain't that tall. So I mean, like, is it a sliding scale? Because I mean, we
It's a
top
Sean
out
scale.
we top out about 5'6", man. You know, so just saying.
Sounds
No,
like
you
elf.
good. You good.
all right. I mean, it is what it is.
You should be making
But,
cookies.
But you know, again, I just want to say, you know, it's important that we are heard, as because we have to break those images. You know, and as Dre was saying earlier too, I do agree with him that that do better comment, we are already doing better. We're doing the best we can. And I think that as those of us who are doing the best that we can, we need to have our voices out there. So just thank you guys so much for just even, like I said, I had to be sensitive, I had to be aware, and I did want to say, like, are you guys good with me being on with this? Because I do want to speak on it, but I don't want to speak above you or shadow what you guys are saying. So thank you for letting me be a part of this today.
No problem. My final thoughts is this. Don't let anybody tell you whose country this is. Don't let anybody tell you that your voice doesn't matter. As long as you are breathing and living, your voice matters. And you should speak out against oppression, racism, and bigotry of any sort, form, or matter. This country has been built on fighting back against oppressors. Whether it was the American fighting against the British for the colonies, whether it's the Americans fighting against the Nazis, we have done that all our lives. And black people have been fighting back all our lives, and we will not stop until we get what we want, and that's equality. Yeah, I think that's it, man. Thank everybody for coming in and listening to this conversation, enjoying it. I want to thank Dre. I want to thank my boy Tayrel. I want to thank Chaufie, man. Chaufie, your voice is needed in this conversation. I feel like it's very important that we are diverse in what we say, because a lot of times people hear black people talk about things, they say, "Oh, black people just complaining." That's all they do. They complain.
Yep, they're bitching again.
Yeah, but when you hear other minorities and white people, for that matter, say the same thing, that voice becomes louder. Then people kind of hear it, and people hide from it. It blows it up. You know, that's when you have companies like Target, like Ben and Jerry's, like all these companies, like the NFL, for that matter.
Hold up, we got to give it up for Ben and Jerry's because they
killed it
strong. You know what I'm saying? If you haven't seen Ben and Jerry's statement on this, go look it up. Change your life.
Ben and Jerry's came the hardest. They didn't fuck around.
Yeah. But to
them
have...
and babynames.com. Baby names came with it too.
I got to check that one out.
Go check theirs out. Yeah, check theirs out too.
But to have for us to be this loud to the point where the NFL, Deion Sanders backpedaled and changed their whole perspective on things and put out this long, ridiculous statement just to say Black Lives Matter, shows that your voice matters. And it's time that we start using our voice to making more people support us. Thank you, everybody, for coming and listening to this. Oh, you got anything to say, Chaufie, before we go?
Yes. Okay, so I just looked up this baby name thing. Fuck, you were like, just looking at the image, that's a lot, Dre. Each one of these names was somebody's baby, and I think we need to end here. Emmett Till, Eric Garner, John Crawford III, Michael Brown, Ezell Ford, Dante Parker, Michelle Crusoe, Laquan McDonald. The list goes on. There's like 50 names in here. Babynames.com stands in solidarity with Black community. These are all babies' names. These were all somebody's child. Fuck, dude, that image is a lot. Like, that hurts. Yes. Shout out to babynames.com, man. I never thought I'd say that first. But just look at the imagery of it. Wow, man. Wow.
And
Thank you, Dre.
True Fire Brigade format, I'm going to end it with what Mike said. He says, fuck the NFL and Drew Brees.
Facts. It's not about the flag.
Fuck 'em. We out.
Yeah.